Hello, hello, hello. You are watching the Xander Gibb show. I was just sat there talking to myself for quite some time before I realized that I had actually clicked the record button rather than the live stream button. So I was talking to myself and couldn't find my show anywhere. And then I realized that it was because the I'd clicked the wrong button and I was just recording, which is a feature of the program that I am using. Oh yes, hello Sharon, early bird. We are in pre-production mode, so please click that share button. I know people are a little bit afraid to do that. You won't catch anything. I promise you faithfully that you won't. And I'm just sharing the link. Here we go. And what an interesting week it's been. I can't wait to get into my preamble to talk about some of the things that have actually been going on in these United States. I don't know. I nearly threw the remote at the TV, and if I didn't have such a nice TV, I don't know. Maybe I would have done. But the way they are talking about my president right now, just in terms of disrespect, is kind of concerning for me, because they take everything that he says and they twist it to their own ends, and that kind of bothers me too. I just need to get the YouTube link, so just excuse me for one second. Talking about my president right now. Yes, Xander, I heard you. Um, so essentially, I'm kind of, what concerns me is that the majority of the media outlets in this country are very liberal. So you could say to the liberal media outlets in this country, Donald Trump spat in a senior person's face, and they would believe that, and they would actually share that without even checking it out, which is obviously of concern for me, because it's not just what that does to Donald Trump's reputation; it's actually what it does to America also, because ultimately, what it does is it kind of belittles what we are trying to do. I will come to the live feed and say hello to everybody. I just have to do some shares on here. But while we are waiting to go live any second, please let me know in the feed below. Please let me know what you think about this constant attempt to twist everything that the president has to say. And do you think this is ever going to end? Because in fairness, I don't think it is going to end. And I think because we are in an election year, I do think that it is going to get worse and worse and worse. And we are going to be exactly where we were in 2016, from the perspective of the level of hate and division that is going to come about, and to some extent here in the UK we had that too, and I don't think it's an acceptable price to pay, because we actually deserve better, and the ones who are responsible for that divide are not just the left, the liberals. I think it's the media too. But I think it's an unfortunate state of events that we, because we are human and we want to defend our president, we actually respond to that level of hate, because why wouldn't we? You know, we're human beings. We support the guy, so we're going to stand up for him and say, hey, wait a minute, that's not, you know, that's not acceptable. So if you, while in the last few seconds before we come in, if you click the share button to share the show, that will be great. We'll be talking lots more during the show about how the media are kind of playing to this kind of ideology that everything that Donald Trump says and does really is twistable, but how disingenuous it is from every perspective. Because the thing is, if he says it or does it and I witness it, I can't defend it if it's correct. But we're seeing more and more that the things that they're sharing are not what he said and what he's done. So that's all the sharing done. We are live on the Xander Gibb Show, and we're going to go in with the opening titles in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Life, it has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact, and I can find no rest. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and eras don't dictate.
Well, hello and welcome to the Xander Gibb Show. Oh yes, sorry, for the very best in Patriot broadcasting, live from the United Kingdom, being broadcast internationally all over the world. On today's show, we have hot topics. I will be getting on my soapbox just for a change. And my guests tonight are from the real side, the fabulous Tammy Messina, and from Freedom on Deck, we have our brother Chet Martin coming to talk about this week's hottest topics. Oh yes, sorry. And we play a drinking game every week because apparently I say the phrase, oh yes, sorry, quite often. So if you want to join in with that drinking game, use whatever you want to drink, whether that be water or whiskey, or even if you want to turn the water into wine, that's cool too. You can have your say in the live feed. I'll be coming and saying hello to everybody individually very soon. You can call in when we get to that segment. I'm on 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. That's if you are in the United States of America. Now, if you're not in the United States of America, you can Skype me at Xander Gibb, but only during that time. You can Skype if you are in the United Kingdom. Oh, yes, you can. So are we all bored yet with the disparity and BS surrounding COVID-19/coronavirus? Are you masking up to go out and wearing gloves? I mean, I am. It's usually a Marilyn Monroe mask and opera gloves, you know, the ones that kind of go up to there. Got to be glam during this pandemic. I'm sick to the back teeth of this level of response in order to restrict our civil liberties, and we need to step it up and take a stand. The royals, Wills and Kate, aren't wearing masks, and Prince Charles, that's Prince William's father, had it recently. Is it one rule for one and one rule for one other? Never mind, where is Walter? Where is Boris? Since his release from hospital with the supposed coronavirus infection, he's not been seen or heard from, and he has been wrapped at Prime Minister's Question Time and remains aloof, and he's clearly sat on his ass eating bonbons somewhere. Now, I have a theory that Dominic Raab, Rishi Sunak, and Chris Whitty have tied him up in a room somewhere, Lucky Boris. Now, lockdown remains in place, and we need some idea when life is going to return to normality. Nancy Pelosi did an interview this week and was actually sober and coherent, unpilled, but still full of crap. Now, when will these dinosaurs on the left either resign or actually find something to say that is beneficial for America or that actually benefits someone aside of illegals? So are you on TikTok yet? It's kind of driving me crazy. I try and put a little bit of content together for it every day, but the standard is pretty high out there. Well, I say it's pretty high. Any old crap gets likes, but when you put something out there that's interesting, well thought out, nobody's interested. YouTube. Are you following us on YouTube? We are called Madrigal Media on YouTube. We're trying to build up that channel, so if you could go and follow there, that would be great. Now, as you may know, we are going to go to 5 nights a week from June. Yes, I am crazy. But what I am crazy about is I'm crazy about the United States, and I'm crazy about ensuring that we get Donald Trump for another 4 years. Because let's face it, the alternative is rather concerning. That's my soapbox for this week. I have very little to say, and I'm tired of talking about the coronavirus. But if you want to get on your soapbox and talk about anything but the coronavirus, you can go to xandergibb.com/contact. That's xandergibb.com/contact. Let's go to the live feed and say hello to some of our friends in there. Hello to Sharon. Hi to Yaz. Hello to James. Hello to my Gina. Hi to Chet, who's our guest in part 2. Hello to Barbara. Welcome to the show, Barbara. Hope you're good. Hi to Nick. Hello to everybody else that's watching and listening. Hello to Tammy, Messina, who is my first guest. Hello to Susan Miller, who's up there in New York City. Maybe she will give us a call in a little while and tell us how things are in NYC. Chet says he's about to inject some Lysol, but I think he's joking. What about you? Is he serious? Should I call the authorities and get them to go check on him? What else? Who else? Hello to... I think that's everybody. Now, if you are in the live feed and you're not commenting, come and join us. We won't bite you. You don't have to agree. You might make a few friends, and you might find some things out that you didn't actually know. We're going to open up the phone lines. 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. If you are calling from the United States, but if you are calling from the UK, you can Skype me. You can Skype me at Xander Gibb. But you have to do it in a British accent or Skype won't understand. So call me now if you're in the United States, 845-363-4747. If you look at the screen, it's on there, 845-363-4747. And you can Skype me if you're calling from the UK at Xander Gibb. What else did I want to tell you? You see, everything that I was looking at today with regards to stories, everything is kind of interconnected. Everything is corona related. As everybody is tired of it, as I am, it really, you can call now, Susan. The lines are open, 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. I will put that in the Ujumi What's It Flippy, whatever it's called, so people can see that number. I made a terrible mistake. It got really chilly here earlier, so I put the heating on, and it's like an oven in here. Again, Chet says the leftist media folks will blame President Trump for him injecting bleach. He is only joking, of course, but we will be talking about that later on in the show. It is very disappointing that everything Donald Trump says. See, what he should say is, Donald Trump should say, I don't want the states to open again. I never want people to go back to work. And then the left would just turn around and say, right, that's it. We're going, we're going back to work on Monday. Did anybody see Nancy Pelosi wiping her nose with her finger and then touching the lectern? I have allergies and stuff myself, and I have to spend 20 minutes before the show just kind of making sure, that I can breathe. So, come on, Nancy, pull your finger out, and I don't mean of your nose. Gina says, yes, now is the call-in time. We have all the lines are open. 845-363-4747. Gina says you can get rubbing alcohol anywhere around here. I've got some of this. We don't really do adverts, but I've got this, and like every few minutes I'm kind of putting a little bit onto my hands and giving it the old 1-2. Let's see who is calling us. Hello, you're live on the Xander Gibb Show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Xander, it's me, Susan.
Hi, Susan. How are you? And how are things in New York City? We keep getting all this kind of secondhand information, and you have obviously the terrible Mayor de Blasardio there, who's really couldn't handle a party in a liquor store. How are you finding things there?
I don't know if you can hear me okay. I'm actually in the house. Well, to tell you the truth, Xander, I'm sick of it too. And I could go on, but to condense, look, we didn't need the Comfort naval ship. I went down there. It was empty. No long lines, not even ambulances, but we do have a video of the police hanging around.
Right.
I also have people that have been working in the hospitals, Xander, and it's interesting in that, President Trump kind of figured the numbers might have been inflated, but I was very appalled when I've had actually people in the medical profession say that everybody that died, even if you die of, say, diabetes or cancer,
right,
they'll say it is the virus because they get at least 15,000 more per hospital from the federal government. Now, I know it sounds insane, but it's a fact. We're not in bad shape. I mean, when you have a governor and a mayor who don't even get along and hate one another,
right,
and didn't have the proper facilities for, let's face it, Xander, we are the #1 target in the world. They should have been prepared for, a crisis such as this, and they weren't.
No, absolutely.
I'm just hoping they open up soon. Because,
absolutely.
It's a ghost town.
Tell me
how filming it.
How is people's morale there, Susan? Sorry to interrupt you. How are people's morale? How are they holding up? Do they seem like that they're at the end of their kind of ability to deal with this?
Okay, well, I'll have two things quickly. One, people are social distancing, most of them.
Right.
And I got to say, I'm tired of feeling like I live on the moon. If I see one more mask and rubber gloves, I'm going to scream.
Yeah.
And they look at you like if you're walking down the street, there's a person not even near you. They go, "Oh my God," and they run away like sheep. That's what most people are here. They're sheep.
Right.
They're down the city. Can you picture New York City totally closed?
No.
It's tough. It's tough.
No.
It's very tough on, economically.
Yeah, because it's usually, even on a Sunday, it's usually pretty busy, people going for brunch and stuff. But the footage I've seen, it's like ghost town.
Yeah. Lastly, Xander, the mainstream media, as you know, I film, and I caught NBC in Times Square. It was kind of funny because they were lounging around with the cameras rolling, and I'm like, what the hell are they going to do? More fake news, so I go over.
Right.
And all of a sudden they put on a mask and they go running away, and I'm laughing, right? And because I go fake news. So the next thing I know, he comes back with the police complaining that I'm filming them. And the police were laughing.
What?
I don't know what they said, but yeah, the police shook, they waved their hand like, who cares? She can film what she wants, and they left. So
Right.
I caught what I wanted, exposing the fake media. I'm not saying it's not real. It is. But more people died of the flu. Guys,
Yes.
before I go, I posted an interesting video from a doctor who's really got a lot of credentials, and he goes into the whole detail of Fauci, how he's, lied and how he funded China years ago for this. Oh my God, it's a mess. But so that that's the latest from here.
Right.
It's just like as I can say right now.
Absolutely. And it must be quite difficult for you because you're out there every day interviewing people and filming stuff. So I guess it must be quite difficult for someone that's used to kind of getting out there and see what people think.
Yeah.
I have a final question for you, very quick question, Susan. How much longer do you think they're going to be able to maintain this lockdown before people start claiming back their civil rights?
Well, they also overstepping our constitutional rights, Cuomo and de Blasio in the city, because de Blasio said he was going to keep it shut down for months, and then he said, then we got a next big hurdle. I've got plans for New York City, global warming, and there'll be no cars, and I'll talk about it later on. What?
No way.
The pools, the beaches are closed. I don't think people can hold on much longer.
No.
We have small essential stores, Xander, that were, said to stay open because they were essential. These guys are closed. There's no business. They won't open up again. And I don't know if New York are still sheep or if they're going to get fed up to the point where they strike out. I've been sharing a petition against Cuomo. I don't know how long ago. It's getting a lot of action. But honestly and sincerely, not much longer can
Absolutely.
anyone here hold out like this.
Gotta stop you there, Susan, but tell people very quickly where they can find you and follow you. Your website is, go ahead.
On my website is MissRovingReporterNewYork.weebly.com. There's also the Miller Report, and I also, Xander, what am I on Facebook? Susan Ann Miller, is that
Yes.
how I am?
If you just type in Susan Miller, you'll be able to find her from there. But listen, Susan, thanks for calling.
Right.
Take care, and I will catch up with you very soon.
Okay, love you, sweetie.
Love you too.
Bye-bye
Thanks a lot. Take care. That was Susan Miller. Make sure you check out her page and her website. She's doing some really good stuff out there when she's able to actually get out and there's not all of this social distancing going on. Hi to Darcy. Welcome. Nice to see you. So my first guest tonight is Tammy Messina. She's the producer of The Real Side. And she is going to be calling us live from California. So we'll see just exactly how things are out there in California. Nick says, we don't need a vaccine, and I won't take anything China or Gates had a hand in anyway. We need the antibodies. Yes, absolutely. I agree. I won't even take the flu vaccine. I say this all the time. I believe that it changes your immune system. And if something's going to change my immunity and make me need it all the time, I don't want it. I definitely don't want it. Nick also says, it sounds like millions more. I will come back to that comment after, but please join me in welcoming back to the Xander Gibb Show, the one, the only, the fabulous Tammy Messina, who is just about to turn down the volume on her computer. Welcome back, Tammy. How is the world with you?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Xander.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Wonderful. Welcome back to the show. How is the world with you?
Oh, everything's fine here. I'm hunkered down in my little California bunker. Everything's fine.
Absolutely. Have you got all your guns and your ammo, just in case?
No, I don't own any guns or ammo.
No, I believe you.
We're not allowed to do that out here in California.
Really? Well, that's ridiculous. I think we should send all the liberals from California, send them to Alaska so we can have the state back, and we'll send the liberals from New York as well to Alaska. Sorry, Sarah Palin, if you're listening.
You can have, I was being funny. You can have guns out here, and I'm not sure about the ammo anymore. They're really trying to make it hard on you, but you can't use them. So
Wow.
what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. Does that mean you're going to be
I've
giving?
encountered 2 rattlesnakes this week, and I had to use my BB gun because, I'm not allowed to use a real gun.
Right. I was going to say, does that mean you're going to be giving up your guns, Tammy?
No.
Good.
No.
Good. That's good to hear.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, living in a country where we don't have the right to bear arms, I'm kind of envious right now. I really am.
Yeah, well, right now we're not even allowed to congregate and praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Can't even stand on the steps of the church.
That's the first right, even before the second right. I
Yes.
mean, we've lost that.
Yeah.
They have literally shut us down.
Exactly. And I worry with all of these rights that they're taking away from us, how many of them are we actually going to get back? Because they had no right to take them in the first place, because no laws have been changed. There have been no changes to the Constitution as far as I know. So,
Right.
it's a concern. So I want to jump right in. The religion part is a great segue because televangelist Pat Robertson agreed this week that abortion and same-sex marriage are partly to blame for the coronavirus. Now, the 90-year-old Christian Broadcasting Network founder suggested God won't end the coronavirus pandemic until people turn from their wicked ways. You confess your sins and forsake them, then he heals the land. It's not before, he said on the episode of his show, The 700 Club, earlier this week. Now, Robinson's comments came during a segment in which he fields questions from viewers. And on Monday, a viewer asked him about how a popular Bible verse, 2 Chronicles 7:14, applies to COVID-19, the illness caused by the coronavirus. Now, the verse reads, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways," which I think includes voting liberal, "then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land." Now, are we offended as Christians at the insinuation that Robertson has made, or are we just kind of the opinion he's just a kook nowadays?
Well, neither. I choose to not be offended by that because that's his personal opinion.
Right.
I think I don't know. I'd like to know what scripture he's standing on to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. But even it doesn't matter. That to me, as a Christian, as a believer, I take it from that point of view for me and look at that and go, I can either choose to walk under God's umbrella, which the Bible tells me what I'm supposed to do to stay in his good graces, or I can choose to do my own thing and say,
Right.
Screw you, God, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And
Right.
then I step outside from his shelter and all hell breaks loose because, from my perspective, we have an enemy, and it's not the Democrats or, God or anything else. It's Satan, and he is constantly trying to take out people.
Absolutely.
He doesn't like people. He doesn't like family. And he certainly doesn't like Christians. So I have to make good choices to try and walk in line with God's word. And I don't see how that relates to the coronavirus at all. There's no direct correlation between abortion, homosexuality, and the coronavirus.
No.
Abortion, that's some bad news right there. And it's definitely, absolutely against God's word. But does that, because I fight against abortion, does that mean that I'm subject to being punished with the coronavirus? No. God doesn't work that way.
No.
He doesn't work like that.
I'm glad you got that from that, because that was exactly my point too. Because ultimately, I obviously have, even as an openly gay man, I have issues with both of those things, and I'm celibate as a result of as a response to my faith. But to then turn around and say that it's kind of like when the guy, what was his name, the from the anti-gay church, Fred Phelps, said that AIDS was God's punishment on America for
Yeah, I was
homosexuality.
thinking about that too. Actually, who was that said that? Did you say his name?
Yeah, the Reverend Fred Phelps from the Westboro Bastard Church.
Oh, yeah. I think it was somebody even before that, though, like way back in the 80s. Because
Right.
when you sent me this, I was thinking, that sounds like exactly what they
Yes.
said when the AIDS epidemic first hit, and it was such a big, blown out of proportion thing. And they're like, oh, this is God delivering judgment on people for having a homosexual lifestyle or living in sin or
Yeah.
whatever. And I thought, it still doesn't jive because ultimately, as a Christian, the Old Testament is for our learning and understanding, but the New Testament is where we are governed. And the New Testament clearly tells us, what our covenants are with God, but it also tells us, in John 10:10, it says, the thief, that's Satan, does not come except to steal, kill, and destroy.
Right.
I have come that they may have life, and that's Jesus talking. So, I mean, if the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, does God do the same thing if he's going to punish us? It doesn't say that anywhere.
No.
So
But-
I don't know. God does not come to steal, kill, and destroy. This coronavirus is clearly stealing, killing, and destroying everything in its path.
Absolutely.
So it's not God.
No.
And to call it an act of God it's just a lie and or ignorance.
And how does any of this kind of assist with our personal kind of ministry and showing God to other people? Because I don't believe the word of
Right.
God should be used to hit people over the head with. It's a great tool for
Right.
guidance, but to say, God doesn't love you because of this, this, and this, that turns more people away than anything else. So I kind of feel our personal witness should not be one of judgment. I'm a Christian, and
Right.
I get more judgment about about myself from Christians more than other people. So I think sometimes Christians need to kind of step it up a little. If we want to be spreading the gospel and actually saying, come to Jesus, things have to change a little, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's I'll give the everyday average Christian a little bit of a pass because you have to be taught well.
Right.
And when you have very influential teachers like Pat Robertson saying things like this, because there's things that he said that I've agreed with. I mean, I'm not going to discount everything
No.
he says.
Oh, I wouldn't
but
suggest
like
that you would.
I searched on the article that you pulled from. I'm assuming it was the Huffington Post one. But if it wasn't, they had something similar up, and what they did is they put a little video montage together where, while he's saying these things, they're tying him in with, and, shaking hands with the president and having a photo op with the president. And,
Right.
oh, by the way, most evangelicals vote with the president, and Pat Robertson's an evangelical. So you can see where they're going with all of this.
Absolutely.
They're trying to discredit the president because he happens to be a very vocal Christian with what Pat Robertson has said, which is definitely inflammatory, questionable. And does everybody believe that? I don't know. I know I don't. I don't see a direct correlation, but I pretty much run pretty tight to the Bible. So you're going to have to show me how you arrived at that
Yes.
correlation, because it doesn't make sense to me.
No. And I think my perspective on this is more a cautionary one than anything else, because I don't think as Christians we should be kind of ignoring sin. But when we say that God is punishing sin with disease, I think we're on a little bit of a sticky wicket.
Yeah, it's beyond a sticky wicket. It's just dead wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand how people get to that and arrive at that conclusion, especially if you read the Old Testament, because the way that it's been translated into English, it says very clearly, God will put this on you or God put that on you, but you really got to go back to original translations and go, what did that actually mean in Hebrew, which is what it was originally written in, or Aramaic, and go, okay, how was that translated out? Okay, well, that, sometimes it's accurate. Sometimes there's a little bit of leeway in there where it could have meant this or it could have meant that, and the translator did the best they could to try and make it. And that's where you really have to have a relationship and an understanding of who God really is.
Yeah.
Because is he a stealer, a killer, a destroyer, and is he really going to put that stuff on you? Because the Bible tells us He is our Heavenly Father.
Right.
And it also tells us that our Heavenly Father is so much more gracious than our earthly fathers are. Well, does an earthly father go, oh, you know what? You skipped school, so I am going to put the coronavirus on you.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
No.
you crashed the car, so I'm going to put AIDS on you.
Yeah.
Would a father do that? That is
No.
not the action of a father. You don't do that. Okay, yeah, you don't get the keys for the next month. That's what.
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Not I'm going to make sure you get some terrible disease. Now, talking
Right,
of
that's going to kill you.
absolutely. Now, talking of terrible diseases, another great segue. NYC Mayor Bill D. Blizzardio. His new 311 text service to snitch on those who didn't follow the social distancing guidelines became a laughingstock this week when this Nazi tool was exposed. Now, Twitter users were posting screenshots of colorful messages that they said they were going to send to the 311 text line, including Adolf Hitler memes, penis references, and other graphic imagery. Now, the issue is being resolved, but it was not a technical issue on 311's part. The mayor's office temporarily shut down the 311 text service on Tuesday due to the onslaught of inappropriate text. Now, this issue has been resolved, but it was not a technical issue on their part, as they said. Now, the mayor announced that the new service, which was launched on April 18th, asking people to snap a photo of the places that didn't enforce social distancing, will be given a new number. Now, what do you make of this? Isn't it reminiscent of Nazi Germany? And are you surprised by the response, whether it be pleasantly or not?
I was surprised by the response and very pleasantly surprised. I thought it was quite ingenious
Yes.
that the people let him know what they thought about what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this is reminiscent of, but here, my take on it was, this is just more of the elites trying to sow seeds of discord in and amongst the people, make us afraid of each other, as
Yeah.
if the masks aren't already doing a good enough job in and of themselves, and being locked in the house for over a month. They're just, this is even more, okay, I want you to tattletale. Remember in kindergarten? Don't tattletale.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be a tattletale. Mind your own business. And now it's one thing if you see something harmful and damaging, and you know, these videos where people are getting the crap kicked out of them and somebody's recording it instead of sending it to the authorities or calling 911. I take issue with that. And he tried to equate it to this because, you know, if they're standing too close together, congregating, or having a little birthday party at the park, then you need a call because they're threatening lives. No, they're not.
No.
And if they're in their little group and having their little birthday party at the park, that's their lives to choose what to do with.
Exactly.
Stay away from them if you don't want what they got.
I think the thing that was kind of most concerning to me about all of this is that all these social distancing rules that they've added, they're kind of trying to say that they're new laws. They haven't changed the law. They haven't changed the Constitution.
Right.
And the thing that concerns me
They're
is,
orders.
yeah, giving the police these extra powers, and I do respect the police, so please don't give me a ticket when you see me driving along, because I do respect the police, but I think they have enough power already.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of the police departments and the law enforcement are actually pushing back, and they're pushing back hard on these guys with their trying to do enforcement. There was one in Houston where the police union, if I can pull it up quickly, I will, but they pushed back hard. They're like, no, we're not doing this. It's not a law, and this is not what we're here for. We're supposed to be supporting the people. We're supposed to be helping the people. We're not supposed to be looking for ways to lock people up, and this is not it.
No, because this has been a huge overreaction, hasn't it? I mean, you're a couple of years older than me. Can you remember a situation like this where this has ever happened before, where they've done a lockdown situation for a virus or a disease that doesn't affect as many people each year annually as the flu?
No, and the thing that's most terrifying is the fact that they've been able to do this what's going to prevent them from doing this every October, November, December when
Yeah.
the actual flu comes in?
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to know my theory?
Sure.
Here's my theory. I'm not a big conspiracy person, but with this whole thing and being the lockdown and us not being able to congregate as church and all that stuff, this week is Ramadan, right?
Yes,
I think
today.
Ramadan's going to set us free. I really do.
Really? But because they didn't close the mosques
I
down
do.
anyway. The mosques were still open.
Right. Well, buddy, let me tell you, people are not going to be able to ignore this. People are not going to be able to ignore the congregations and how big they're congregating when they wouldn't let us have Easter.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I think that Christians are going to be like, wait, what? These guys are allowed to get together and we're not?
But what does that say about?
If they have half a brain about them, they need to.
Yeah. But what does this say about where we're at now in the United States and in the United Kingdom? Because it's exactly the same. There were still mosques open here. There were still mosques open in London. And I don't think that the fact that London's mayor is a Muslim, it's clearly, it's not coincidental that this is the case.
Right. And I think that, there's going to be some outlying areas where the police are going to try and enforce. I can't remember what state it was in where they had that little Easter drive-in service and they put nails in the driveway to try and keep people from coming in. The church cleaned up the nails. The people still drove in. They had big speakers up and they were sitting in the parking lot listening to the speakers. And there were videos of the law enforcement ticketing all the cars that were there.
Wow.
So, and people were not out congregating. They were sitting in their cars with the windows rolled up, just listening.
Exactly.
There's no reason that things like that shouldn't be allowed to happen. And so I think that Christians are going to exercise some civil disobedience sooner rather than later.
I do too.
Because of Ramadan.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that as well as that, our dear President Trump is actually in the next couple of weeks going to say, screw this, I'm reopening all the states. Cuomo thinks he's got more power as the governor than the president does. But I do think that, I think that the response to the coronavirus is impeachment part 2, because they didn't get their own way with the impeachment. So what they've done with their reaction, this gross overreaction, is this is all to kind of discredit Donald Trump in order to, because we're in an election year. And this is not going to end even after November when we've all voted and Donald Trump has won and he's secured another 4 years. They'll be trying for the next 4 years to get him out. That's not democracy. That's not the America that I love.
Well, this is definitely the only way they can get his rallies shut down. But my question is, how long is he going to continue to allow this? Because he has I know that he's smart, and I know that he's got a plan. I don't know what it is. I can't wait to see it. But how long is he going to let this go on?
Absolutely.
Before he shuts it down.
Absolutely. I have to.
I'll tell you this too. All you have to do is look at Biden's Twitter feed. Somebody's running that for him, and it's a media person. They're definitely running it.
It's someone from dementia.com, apparently. It's someone from dementia.com. But we do have to leave it there. I'm really sorry to stop you in your tracks. But tell people very quickly where they can find you.
We are on the air at therealside.com. We are on the air Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time. You can tune in. You can listen to us online. Best place to go is our website because Facebook does not like us. And so they shut us down all the time. So anyway.
Absolutely. But for now, thank you so much.
And don't forget, because Xander will be there.
I will. I will be there tonight in person on the show in the green room. Don't forget my milk and cookies, Tammy.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Tammy Messina from The Real Side.
Thanks, Xander. Keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot. You too. Take care. That was Tammy Messina, producer of The Real Side. Make sure you go and check her out. We overran a little there. My next guest is going to be calling any second. He is the anchor of Freedom on Deck. His name is Chet Martin, and he's going to be calling me now from Long Island. I always wondered if he spelled the long in Long Island, Lawng, but apparently you don't, and he's going to be helping me to break down this week's hottest topics. And while we wait for him to call, we will have a little look in the live feed. Hi to Julie. I hope you're doing good. Lots of LOLs in the live feed from people. Talk of drones. This should be my next guest, live from Long Island, the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Chet Martin. Welcome back to the show, Chet. How is the world with you?
Good, Xander. It's a bit of a rainy day here in New York, but aside from that, I'm just staying in and doing, I'm injecting Lysol because I heard if you do that, you won't get COVID-19. So
yeah, absolutely. I just want to say for all the stupid people out there, don't inject anything, without checking with your physician, unless, of course, it happens to be whiskey. I'm joking. So let's joke, because you really have to say you're joking because you get into trouble. So that's it's a great segue into the first topic, because the manufacturer of Lysol, a disinfectant spray and cleaning product, issued a statement warning against any internal use after President Trump's commentary was twisted once more in suggesting that people could get an injection of disinfectant that knocks the coronavirus out in a minute. Now, as a global leader in health and hygiene, we must be clear that under no circumstances should our disinfectants products be administered into the human body through ingestion, or any other route. A spokesperson for the company, Reckitt Benckiser, what a name, Reckitt Benckiser, the United Kingdom-based owner of Lysol, said in a statement to NBC News, as with all products, our disinfectant and hygiene products should only be used as intended and in line with usage guidelines. Please read the label and safety information. The statement continued with more BS and stupidity for stupid people, adding that the company believes it has a responsibility in providing consumers with access to accurate, up-to-date information, as advised by leading public health experts. Chet, what does it say if you have to be told not to inject or ingest cleaning products?
It says you're a Democrat then. But, but Xander, the thing is, there are actually journalists and reporters that are on Twitter right now. I was just looking at this one jackwagon.
Right.
Forgot his name. But he said President Trump literally told us to drink bleach on Thursday. Now, listen, President Trump has a unique way of talking. He's talked that way his whole life. That's how he ran his business. Now, I think when he said injecting, he meant to say something else. But what he was talking about was ultraviolet light therapy.
Right.
They use that to combat many different things.
Yeah.
And they've been experimenting a lot.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what President Trump was talking about.
But
he was
isn't
throwing spitballs.
Yeah.
And he never mentioned bleach. Where
No.
the hell are they
Exactly.
getting that from?
But isn't that a process of disinfecting? And also, like chemotherapy, chemo is a disinfectant. It's a disinfectant process, but he wasn't saying ingest disinfectant. Now, I want to bring your kids into the equation, because you're a parent. You have two kids whose names escape me. So if they've both been naughty, and one of them says, "Oh, Dad, but my brother said to do it," what's your first response to him? If he told you to jump off a cliff, would you do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you follow him off the Brooklyn Bridge?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And, but this is what they do. They wait and wait and wait for President Trump to say anything. They must have some war room that they get together in, Xander, and they're like, "Did you hear that? He said inject disinfectant. We can turn that into drinking bleach."
It is that pathetic. It really is.
And it really is. And the problem is a lot of people don't follow up by watching the video.
No.
And, like I said, he said disinfectant, and they're taking that as either Lysol or bleach. And what really ticks me off before I called into the program, I was looking at Snopes, the always reliable Snopes fact checkers.
Yeah.
And they're claiming that he did indeed tell the American people to drink bleach.
Well,
and I'm standing beside myself in my own thought and thinking, how weird has it gotten in our political landscape when the president can say something so harmless and it gets turned upside down? I mean, Xander, right now we have people dying, correct? We have bigger things going on in this country than besides twisting the president's words.
But don't you see what this is? I just said this to Tammy. This is impeachment part 2. What they want to be able to say is, look, the president is even telling people to inject bleach. How can we give him another term of office? This is what all of these things are for. That is their purpose. And sadly, that per capita, I'm sorry, America is a big country, and I really do love it. I would rather be there than anywhere else in the world. But per capita, we have more stupid people. Hence those, voting for the Democrats. So they're gullible enough to believe it. But that, for me, is really concerning. Wasn't there a case a while back of someone ingesting cleaning products that thought they had the coronavirus, and they said, and they tried to blame that onto the president too? I mean, get a grip.
Yeah. It was like a fish tank cleaning product.
Yeah, that was it. Because it contained some of the same ingredients.
Told him to drink it because something in there sounded like the drug, the wonder drug that President Trump talks about. I think his girlfriend just wanted to kill him. That's all. But Xander, what's really interesting is now all of a sudden Fauci and the rest of the experts, who, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but Fauci sits on the board of the Bill Gates Foundation.
Yes, I did.
So you know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he came out and said, well, there's going to be a second strain coming in the fall. Now, it's amazing to me, and yes, viruses do mutate. By that time, you're supposed to be able to fight them off with your own immune system, but we're never going to get that because we're all sitting inside. But they're talking about fall. What happens in November when we are supposed to be reelecting Donald J. Trump, and they're telling us that we can't come out of our houses?
Well,
and maybe,
postal vote.
Maybe, Xander, they'll say everybody's got to mail in their card to get the votes. And then that's something I've been looking at. And don't be shocked if it doesn't happen. I just hope that the Trump administration knows that these ghouls stop at nothing, and they are trying to actively take down our duly elected president.
But I think the worry for me is that they're eroding these processes that have built up over hundreds of years. They're eroding these rights that have built up over hundreds of years. But I am convinced that even in the next week to 10 days, Donald Trump is going to say, not literally, but he's going to say, screw you all. Everyone's going back to work. Those of us that are going to get it are going to get it, because we've got no real idea who's had this virus. Everyone, no one's died of natural causes in 2020, No one.
I know.
And that's a worry.
It was like the meme you put up with the great white shark coming out of the water.
Yeah.
And it says, man eaten by shark dies from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's so true. And, it was CDC that's padding all these numbers. And nobody's saying that this virus doesn't exist. But what we are saying is, let's have a come-together moment from both sides, because I've heard Democrats, too, saying that this is too much. We need to get the economy rolling again.
Right.
But the thing is, the media, they control the narrative. They're the ones telling us, well, the death rate's here, and they're all giving us false numbers. And then when you find out, they're never questioned about it.
Absolutely.
Donald Trump is questioned about what he said on Thursday. Where's been all the questioning with Joe Biden when he constantly puts his foot in his mouth? now.
Absolutely, which is a great lead into the next segment, because Joe Biden doesn't even know who he was last Thursday. Former Vice President and hair sniffer Supremo Joe Biden has returned a donation from comedian Louis C.K. of $2,800 and said it was not welcome by the Democratic hopeful, with the campaign spokesman saying it has been refunded and it would be reflected in the report filed to the Federal Election Commission in May. Now, according to the documents filed with the commission, the comedian donated to Biden on March 4th, the day after the ex-vice president won more than a dozen states in Super Tuesday primaries on his way to securing the nomination. Now, emails to Mr. Biden's campaign and Mr. CK were not immediately returned, but the career of Mr. Louis C.K., known as Louis Zeckley, was brought to a halt in 2017 after New York Times published sexual misconduct allegations from 5 women dating back to the 1990s and early 2000s. Now, Mr. C.K. expressed remorse for his actions, saying he tried to learn from them, and the Me Too complaints filed against Biden after former aide Tara Reid came forward with allegations he sexually assaulted her during the 1990s when he was a senator. Now, there was no exchange, really, he said. He just met up against the wall, and Miss Reid had alleged this in March. And he had said, apparently, I remember him saying that he wanted it to go somewhere else with him. And he'd heard that he'd liked her. Now, are they trying to be over squeaky clean in order to not? Because we've seen enough footage of the things that Joe Biden has been doing to people, in public. Is this to make his image as squeaky clean as his dementing brain?
Well, now there's 7 women that have come up and claimed that Joe Biden sexually assaulted them. Now, to what degree? The one that you were just talking about said that she was informed raped.
Yeah,
at one of his offices back in 1993. They can't align themselves with Louis C.K. because if they do that, that just makes him look bad.
Oh, well, he's taking money from rapists, so he must be a rapist.
Right.
Sorry,
I mean, that's what's going to happen here.
Rapists.
They totally tarred and feathered Kavanaugh, but, Biden's done 12 interviews over the last month, and not one, and this is true, Xander, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, they've all spoke to Biden over the past month. Not one of the journalists or one of their crackpot TV hosts asked him about this sexual assault that happened to Miss Reid in 93. No. How the hell can you do 12 interviews on cable and throughout every network that you can think about getting on, he's been on, and it wasn't brought up once?
Right. But what the other thing you have to think about with all of this, now, you and I get interviewed on lots of shows. I never need to make notes about my opinions because I know what my opinions are. If I'm presenting a topic, I'll read from the notes for that to make sure I'm factual. But every show that he's gone on, he's had notes. Why do you need notes regarding your opinions?
I don't think it's regarding his opinion. I think the notes say, your name is Joe. Yeah. You're running for president.
Which wine club?
Your sister is not your wife.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, first of all, he's not capable of being the leader of the free world. I mean, come on, guys. Really? He's just so out of it. And he is combative. And that's one of the signs of dementia, is when you start to become combative.
Yeah.
He's talking to members of the union and screaming at them and calling them nasty names and saying, well, let's go up against, do some push-ups with me. Yeah. Easy, Joe.
Yeah, you lying dog-faced pony soldier. I mean, the Joe Biden we saw when he was vice president is a different Joe Biden to now. I've worked with people that are dementing, and I'm not a doctor, but he is showing, he is showing signs that there's something wrong cognitively. Do you remember when he did that interview and his eye just went all red? Like, there's just far too much but we know that clearly he's a
was scary.
placeholder. Yeah, that was scary. It was like something out of a horror movie because it happened with like over the course of the interview, and by the end of it, he was looking like I thought he was going to turn into a werewolf or something. But the real question, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the weird thing about that, Xander, it happened to Hillary too in
Really?
in 2015. Yeah,
You know,
her eye just started filling up with red.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like an alien eye or
but
something.
in fairness,
Makes
with
you wonder
Hillary,
about them.
it was adrenochrome withdrawal with Hillary, I think, more likely. But the bigger question with all of this, Chet, is, I keep coming back to it. I thought for a long time that Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, was a placeholder for maybe Hillary or Michael Obama, but I'm not so sure. I think maybe he's a placeholder for Fredo's big brother, Cuomo.
Yeah, well, that could be. I mean, I just don't think Cuomo. He's doing well right now in New York as far as his poll numbers. For whatever reason, I don't know. He's done a terrible job through this whole thing with it. Talk about mishandling COVID-19. You don't need to look much further past Mr. Cuomo.
No, exactly.
But the thing is, Michael, whatever you want to call him, said that not interested, don't want to do it. And I think that they really want to keep Joe in there because I think they know Trump's going to win.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
They're saying, let's get the 4 years over with, pull the tooth, and then we'll try to get Michelle, or we'll try to get, whoever the case may be, whoever their shiny toy is at the moment is what they'll try to push in there. But I think a lot of the decision makers over there for the DNC and for the Democrat Party, I think they know that the outcome's probably going to be a re-election of President Trump, and I think they're going to make Joe fall on the sword.
But have you noticed they're not talking about the Ukraine so much anymore, which is of concern to me? Because I think even that alone, the fact that Joe Biden used his position as vice president in order to get his son and other senior Democrats too, in fairness, their kids got jobs, fake jobs in a gas company in the Ukraine, and they got paid for it, which is fraudulent and money laundering and unconcerning. But should that not stop? But obviously, it's different with Democrats. Look at with Kavanaugh. They wanted him not to be able to be the Supreme Court justice because of accusations that were made from over 30 years ago. But all these things are provable. Hillary, she got to run for office, and our good friend Chris Saucier ended up in jail for far lesser charges. So there's no fairness anymore.
I know.
Really.
And you know what, Xander? It's hard to watch, and it's hard to look at the double standards, and it's hard to see Jeff Sessions and now Bill Barr promising, and nothing ever comes to fruition.
No.
But President Trump, when and if he's running against Joe Biden, he's going to bring up the Ukrainian situation.
Yes.
There's actually a new investigation going on in the Ukraine of Joe Biden, the way that he basically, squashed the investigation into Burisma Holdings. But this is the really crazy one, and I don't know if you saw this, but they promised that Hunter Biden was going to get out of another board he was involved in China. And they promised this prior to Joe, basically when he just had put his hat in the runnings as the Democrat nominee.
Absolutely.
Well, his son is still on the board. He's still there.
It's ridiculous.
Do we want a president that's beholden to China right now?
No.
With everything going on?
And can I remind you that it's pronounced China on this show? I mean, isn't it great?
Yes, China.
Isn't it great that not great, but isn't it interesting that all of the things that Donald Trump has said have come to fruition? Like, we need to close the border to China. We need to bring back the drug manufacturing. We need to close the borders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's been proven right on all of these things, but he's still seen as this. I don't know the word to use because I don't want to be disrespectful to him. He's still seen as foolish, even though all of the they said, oh, there's no way he was wiretapped. There's no way the Steele dossier was, unfair and dishonest, but that's disappeared as well now. I mean, what does he have to do? Walk on the Hudson?
No, they hate him. And the reason they hate Trump so much, or now I always like to call him President Trump, because he's not called president enough. Okay,
No.
I try to do that as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But the president scares them because he's been involved in New York City politics his whole life. He has been involved with going around the world and opening up hotels and starting businesses, golf courses, you name it. He knows all these people, Xander.
Yes.
That's why they hate him. He knows the dirt on all of them. That's why when he went on the debate stage with Hillary, he was so confident and walking around with such braggadocio.
Right.
Hillary had never been challenged like that before. And that's what scares them. He's not scared of them.
But this is not, but that's going to be, the amount of popcorn we're going to need, the amount of, microwaves are going to be defunct. We're going to have to make so much popcorn to watch these debates. If you thought the ones with Hillary were interesting, because Joe's not going to be able to have notes and he's not going to know, well, unless, Donna Brazile gives him the questions beforehand, but he's not going to, it's not going to bode very well for him for the live debate. Right. I think they're going to have to pull him out before then. I really do.
Well, if the COVID-19 might be still going strong by then, and if they do that, that's great for Joe because if he doesn't have to go out on the debate stage. And listen, I'm sorry to say it like this, what they're doing here right now with this virus, it's definitely to work against the president.
Of course.
You can't see that. I'm sorry, I knew
200%.
somebody that died with it, so
yeah.
I'm not heartless, believe me. No,
of course not. And I have to keep making this clear because there are a lot of stupid people out there, and thankfully, the listeners of our shows and the viewers are pretty intelligent people. But I am not saying that the coronavirus doesn't exist. My issue is with the level of response to it. That's where my issue stands. But you have to keep saying it because I don't know about you, but I get all these stupid emails saying my cousin died of coronavirus and you're decrying that. And I'm sorry, I have to say, for anyone who's died of this or anyone who knows anyone that has died from this terrible disease, I am truly sorry for you. But some out there have chosen to politicize this in an election year. When you politicize an issue, it really requires a political response. We are in the last few minutes of the show. We've gone over time, but I want to find out who's coming on your show this Sunday because you go out 3 till 5 Eastern. On, I can never remember the station's name. That's terrible.
94.9 News Now.
94.9 News Now and Stimulating Chat. So who have you got this week?
We've got some good guests. We have Alex Newman from the New American Magazine. He's awesome. I mean, he's just been one of our regulars all our regulars, like I said, are the best. You, Alex, all the great ones out there. And then we have Dan Watts, and he's from NRA TV. Yeah. And he also has a few good books out about your Second Amendment rights, the things that you need to know. And the series of book is called Good Gun, Bad Guy. And that's just basically telling you that, good guys with the gun are necessary.
Absolutely. In
the United States of America to hold on to our freedoms. It's really important stuff, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the suggestion recently about that guns and ammo were not essential purchasing during this period of time. It just made me laugh because, if during this time, people are very desperate. If someone breaks in your house and wants to steal your stuff, what are you supposed to do? Well, please, I'm sorry I gave up my gun because of Corona-19. No, I don't think so.
You just go stock up with some expensive ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. In a $25,000 refrigerator. So we
unreal.
We are we are at the end of our time together. Thank you so much, Chet. As always, it is stimulating, Chet. Make sure you check out Chet's show this weekend, 3 to 5 Eastern time. And I've forgotten the name of the network again. That's terrible.
Just go to freedomondeck.com.
Yes.
You'll see all the links where you can get it. It's on WJJF-FM. But for all you guys listening, go to freedomondeck.com Sunday at 3. Click on the link, and you can listen to us live.
Absolutely.
There.
Thank you so much, Chet. Have a great weekend and give my best to your family.
You too, Zan. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye.
That was Chet Martin, the anchor from Freedom on Deck. Make sure you check them out Sundays 3 till 5. Go to freedomondeck.com and the Freedom on Deck page. Make sure you check them out. Thank you to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thanks to Tammy Messina from The Real Side, producer. And once again, thanks to Chet Martin from Freedom on Deck. Thanks to everybody in the live feed. Too many to name. Thanks for all your opinions. Thanks for sticking by. Please click that share button before you go. It costs you absolutely nothing to do it. Please click the share button so other people know that the show can watch the show after. I will be back same time, same place next week. If you've not had enough of the Gibster, you can stick around and catch me on The Real Side tonight, 7 Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, and 3 a.m. in the UK if you're up that late. So grab a big pot of coffee and stick around. That's all we have time for. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay well. And I really do love you all. Bye-bye.
It has been good to me.